Welcome to the Better Dad podcast, where we empower African fathers to become the best versions of themselves. I'm your host, Jube Ojomo, and I am thrilled to be your guide on this journey. Today's topic is encouraging emotional expression and empathy in father-child relationships. Let's get started. To start off, let us look at what emotional intelligence is. That's a word that's been going around. Everybody's been talking about it. Emotional intelligence is the ability to perceive, understand, and manage our own emotions and the emotions of others. So it involves being aware of the emotions in ourselves and others, and using this awareness to guide our thinking and behavior. So emotionally intelligent persons are persons who can motivate themselves, read social cues, and build strong relationships based on what they are aware of. So the question then is, why is emotional intelligence important for fathers and their children? Well, some research has shown that fathers play a crucial role in the lives of their children. That's in the social and the emotional development. So it's through their father's example that children can learn things like empathy and other social skills like creativity or even explorative skills. These skills are things that would be combined with an ability to make friends to help our children become better involved and engaged in the world today. However, for many African fathers like myself who have just recently migrated to Europe, expression, emotions, and showing empathy may not come as easily as possible or as we may think it should. For example, we may have grown up in cultures where fathers are expected to be strict and authoritative and sometimes emotionally distant from their children. So we agree that our backgrounds may be a limiting factor. But aside from our backgrounds, we may also face things like stress, there could be discrimination and isolation in the new countries that we are, which can affect our mood and of course our mental health. We may struggle with having to balance studies, work, and family responsibilities because moving to the UK, we have limited access to funds and we can only work part-time as students. So I understand that there are many African fathers who are in this situation. So how can they overcome these challenges and develop their emotional intelligence? And how can they foster a positive and supportive relationship with their children so that the children do not receive the brunt of our frustrations? Well, here are some tips and suggestions that may help. First, we need to be aware of our emotions and how they affect our own behaviors. So let's try to understand what we are feeling and why, and how that feeling influences our actions and reactions. For example, when I'm feeling angry or frustrated, it's very likely I'm more likely to yell at my children and to be impatient with them. But at times that I'm feeling sad and lonely, I may not yell. I may want to be left alone. I may want to withdraw from them. And so that's the reaction that I would put up at that time based on the emotions that I'm having at that time. And so it's encouraged that all of us as fathers should learn to understand the emotions that we have and to regulate them so that we can choose more appropriate responses and constructive ways to express them to our children. I remember having a bad morning once back at home then. I got up early in the morning. I was planning to beat the traffic and I started work quite early. But then it began to rain. And then the car would not just start. So I had to use the public transport, and the roads got flooded, and everything just kept going wrong. And yet, I had to be at work. So I finally got to work late, as you can imagine. Whatever my colleagues were laughing at was just annoying me. And then my boss approaches and asks me for a deliverable on an ongoing project. I explain where we are on the project, but she's not satisfied, and she keeps going on and on. At this point, I feel the anger rising up in me. I want to lash back at her and justify myself. But do I do that? Dear dads, what would you have done in that situation? But many people say that, this is just the way I am. I can't just control my anger. My friend Adam used to think so too. And I was riding in his car sometime in 2021, and another road user sped past us and hit our side mirror. There was damage, but the other road user did not even stop to acknowledge what he had done, or that he had done something wrong. My friend Adam was livid with anger. He was ready to kill. So we sped up trying to catch up with this other road user. And as we pulled close to the car, we noticed there were two people in the car. They seemed to be military men, a little excited, maybe slightly drunk. As we studied the situation, what do you think Adam chose to do? He chose not to react the way he would have. He let go of his anger. Now you notice that in both instances, in my own case with my boss, and in Adam's case with his drunken military men, we did not react as we would have. So why did we choose how to react? Why did we suppress our emotions? And how did we suppress our emotions? But let's start first with the why. The reason was that we recognized that the other person had an advantage over us. They had a leverage. In my case, it was the boss. If I had reacted in anger and I had said the wrong things, I could have gotten a query, I could have been taken off the project, or accused of insubordination. Ultimately, that would have affected my job and my pay. But is that what I wanted? Surely not. And so in that instance, I started having conversations with myself in my head. And this is what led me to choose how to react. I controlled my emotions. So now let's look at the next, or let's answer the how I controlled my emotions. I used what I call conversational intelligence. I had conversations with myself, and they led me to choose how to react in that instance. Without doubt, Adam would have done the same thing. He had conversations with himself. He would have told himself things like, "Whoa, just back up, Adam. That guy has a gun, and he most likely would use it. I don't want him to use it, at least not on me. I can fix the mirror myself. It's not worth dying for," and things like that. So these two examples prove to us that we can choose our reactions, we can choose how we react, and therefore we can choose how we can control our emotions. And so, dear fathers, I would love us to put this into practice. Yes, it's a bit challenging because our kids do not have the advantage over us. And that is why we must create a leverage in our minds. Let's look at them not just as kids, let's look at them as people that we are responsible to bring up. They are people we are responsible to take care of. And we would have failed in every aspect of our life if we do not equip them with the attitudes and tools to navigate this world successfully. And while doing this, I'd like us to consider the second point or the second tip, which is to be honest and open about our emotions and experiences with our children. We want to share with them what we are going through, how we feel, so that we let them know that it is okay to have different emotions. For example, I tell my daughters that I'm a bit stressed out today because I have a lot of work to do. I'm worried about our visas, but I'm happy that they are doing well at school and that we are together as a family. So because I've learned to share my emotions with them, I've helped them to understand the situation better, and they feel closer to me and they understand me better. They know when I'm looking for a different job, they know when my job is stressful, they know why. They even know when I'm going for interviews. Now they do not know, I let them know that things are not the way they were back home, but that with time we'll move past all of this. And so they have learned to be patient. So if we as dads are open about our emotions with our children, we can model for them how to cope with difficult emotions and situations in a healthy way. So let's remember, communication is a two-way thing, and so we do not want to talk to our children only about our emotions. We also want to listen to theirs, and listening to theirs is the third tip today. Let's listen and empathize with our children's emotions and experiences. It would be right for us to pay attention to not just what they say, but what they do not say and how they are feeling. It would be very important that we show them that we care and respect their feelings. For example, if my child comes to me and says she's feeling sad, I would acknowledge that she is feeling sad. I could say things like, I can see that you're feeling sad. Do you want to tell me what happened? So she feels that there's a safe space because I'm listening and empathizing. This helps her to feel heard and validated. It also helps them to develop emotional vocabulary and awareness. And so that's it, guys. Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Better Dad podcast. But remember, we can choose how we react in any situation. It may be difficult, but it can be done. Let your children know let them know about your emotions and experiences, and then listen to reassure them.